Greetings and salutations. You've successfully arrived at the Bloody Disgusting Network. Coming up next is something indescribable, tantalizing, and mind-numbing. Enjoy.
My friendship to all of you precludes my involvement with any one of you. But if you wanna make love, then I do too, and I'll be right there behind you. All in the name of oh, all in the name of oh, all in the name of oh.
Greetings, constant listeners, and welcome back to another episode of The Losers Club, a Stephen King podcast. This is, of course, part 2 of our coverage for his short story collection from 2015, The Bazaar of Bad Dreams. Last week, we ranked I don't want to call them the bottom 10 stories, but 10 through 20, because we still really enjoyed a lot of them. And today we are doing stories 1 through 10 as averaged from our personal rankings using not Gerberlytics, but Caffreylytics this time around, because I am your host, Dan the Dune Caffrey, because that is our number 10 story. The Dude. Who do I want to kick this one off to? Because I had this one a little bit lower, I think, than the rest of you. Pfleegor, you had this at number 3. Tell us why you loved it and where it's going.
I think also coming off doing the Duma Key episode, where I found that I really liked that book a lot. It's got the legal stuff happening in it, and I went to school in Pinellas County where this takes place. So I'm just very familiar with that area. And, King lives in kind of like the Sarasota area. This, I think, is like his strongest type of short story where there's like a little twist at the end. I liked the detail of giving the guy like the high-end whiskey. And also it's the reader having to fill in the blanks a little bit of like being like, oh, did you see your name? He's like, not mine. So you're not 100% sure, but it's definitely pushing you in that direction. So I just thought this was like a very cheeky, fun read. And if I recall, this is one of the first stories too, right? I think
early
that,
on.
like
it's number 4.
Yeah, exactly. So I think like this book is very top heavy with good material because I was like knocking these out left and right.
And I would say too, it's we get a straight on horror story with Mile 81, but Mile 81 has that kind of, I don't know what the right word is, somewhat literary narrative device where we're seeing the different points of view. I'd say this is his first like straightforward EC Comics horror anthology spooky story. Jen, I think you had this at number 2, actually.
I did, yeah. This was number 2, and I struggled a lot to decide between this one and The Little Green God of Agony. So it was almost number 1. I love this one. It's fast and nasty, and it's like I love the Southern drawl of it too. Like this guy, he just feels like such a piece of shit, like Southern lawyer, And it reminded me of like Steel Magnolias. Like so, the ambiance or the vibe of this, I really loved. I also. So it goes back to the Duma Key part where, like, I loved when he was talking about counting his steps every day. I love the idea of him, like, kayaking out to this thing every day. And I was like, if I live next to a dune, I'd do that too. And that'd just be my morning thing. And just see who's going to die today. And it reminds me a lot of the Reaper's Image too. It just feels like that end. I thought it was going to be him whose name was on it. And I loved the ending. And I also love the description of it. He's talking about how his face took on this ghoulish smile too. I was like, there's just the perfect note to go out on.
I do love the ending. He even says in the foreword that's one of his favorite endings. I talk a lot on the podcast about, as much as I love Stephen King, he sometimes goes on a few sentences too long. You're like, no, it's scary. Take all that out. And this is one where it's like he doesn't have to explain it. We just get that one-liner. For me, it was ranked a bit lower, I think, just because, once again, it felt like the ending was the story to me, like with the death. Even though I like Beach Boy King, Pinellas County. I didn't go to school there like Pfleegor, but we grew up in Pasco, which is one county over. So I think he nails that flirty environment a little bit. But I think I had a low yeah.
Oh.
What about you, Mike? Because
they're all named after conquistadors, which is kind of scary, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't wake up with, a biker or a jogger?
No, but with a turkey buzzard.
Oh, Pasco.
You know turkey vultures in Florida, because Mike, you lived in Florida as well, and those are like, they kill all the roadkill on the side of the road, but they are nasty creatures. And I like how he talks about how gross they are in this.
Yeah, Florida's it's a fun state. It's very hot. It's filled with miserable people, and a lot of it is chintzy and the beauty you have to really look for.
Giving it the hard sell is the worst.
I'm going there. I'm going there in 48 hours for.
I do. I love
Disney,
the Tempe area, but there's some nastiness there, and South Florida too, obviously.
And gators.
Oh yeah,
those
Gators, big time.
Go Gators.
Yeah, yeah. Go read You Like It Darker, which has a nice little
fucking
gator in there.
gator, man.
Yeah, that was one of your favorite stories of that.
Because it horrified me because I'm afraid of getting eaten by an alligator. Yeah.
Yeah. This one, for all the reasons you've all stated, it's classic King. I mean, it's EC Comics King in the sense that this does feel like the ending could feel like a creep show. I don't know how to explain this, but like when I think about the crate, one of my favorite parts and aspects of the crate, and especially in the movie, is just like these two older men drinking, in this type of room, a closet room with like, you could just tell it's very aristocratic and, but they're dealing with these things that are outside of their realms of thinking. They're not in control anymore. And there's just something really old school about it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of our generation will grow up and we'll just be assholes like that and have our own high-end whiskey and what have you. But there's something so intrinsically like 70s about it. And I love it. I just love any story that has to do with that. And so to get back to this, it's like, it does feel in the crate realm a little bit. And so I dug it for that. My problem is that I'm always trying, my mind's always trying to work where things are going ahead of time. And so I knew what the ending was going to be. The minute, and I think this is a part where like the preface almost kind of ruins the short story because I'm like, oh, it's got to be his favorite ending. Well, it can't just be him that's on the dune. That's a lame ending. And so it's got to be that the person who's telling it. And then it ended up being that. And it didn't take it away from me, but I think I wanted it to be just a little like darker. It's dark. It's a dark story.
Like it
I mean, not dark
We
enough.
say you like it
but I
darker.
I do like it darker, but yeah, I think I kind of wish that there was just a little bit more consequence with it. I mean, sure, you're gonna die, but I don't know. It doesn't scare me in the sense of like Fluffy coming out of the crate or something. If that makes any sense, but
Yeah.
But also like just to add the King's Dominion of the Siesta Key sinking. For Duma Key, which I mentioned already. But
Yeah, he comes back to that a lot because in Rattlesnakes that has a big tie-in as well. Well, hey, we need to shake the sand out of our sandals and get off the beach and head onto the highway, specifically Mile 81, in a different state because we're not in Florida anymore. Mile 81 was number 9. I think, Jen, you kick us off. You had this at number 4, so just below the dune.
I did, and I'm seeing kind of the disparities in our list, and I'm kind of picking up the patterns too, and it's really fascinating.
It's from here on out, it's pretty. Yeah,
I think I had it pretty high.
I feel like Roffman and I are in one camp, and Pfleegor and Jenn are in the other. Not to make it about like.
Oh no!
Hey, not to make it
like
Boulder
a
and
battle.
Vegas, but Pfleegor likes his trains on time, so we know where.
Tiger Claw.
And I like Alexander Skarsgård, so of course I'll be in Vegas. Yeah. I think the first time I read this, I did not like Mile 81 at all because of the kid-parent death thing. And so I wasn't really looking forward to reading it again. And then I read it this time and I really dug it. I was like, this is a really fun monster story. Yes, there is some upsetting shit. Like I keep thinking about these kids who were watching their parents die and who are now orphaned. And that is upsetting, but it's not so upsetting that it overwhelms the story for me in the way that some of these other stories are. And like, I just love the idea of this fucking nasty car that just like pulls you in. It reminds me so much of The Raft, and I think like these are the same kind of monsters. And so, yeah, it was really cool. And I really liked that horse lady. Like I enjoyed her part of the story. I think there's a lot of really fun characterization here. And it's one of those stories where you're like, you almost wish you could jump in and you could say, police officer, stop it. Like listen to the kids, So like, I enjoyed that part of it too. The stakes felt really high and fun. And, I like when a kid saves the day with like a magnifying glass after like jerking off in a shed, So it was just fun.
Do you think it was a similar car to From a Buick 8? I kept wondering that.
I think so, yeah. And y'all have read From a Buick 8 a lot more recently than I have. So yeah, actually, maybe I should ask y'all.
That's what I thought, just with the tentacles and everything. It would be funny if, like, the cop who showed up at the end was driving the Buick 8.
Yeah.
Oh, no. There was...
Maybe it's that Buick 8's wife or something.
Yeah, they can mate.
It was... the kid is reading Lock and Key, which is Joe Hill's comic book.
That's right.
Mike, you and I both had this pretty low. I think me at 13, you at 14, maybe the other way around. What were your thoughts on the story?
It's a little too fat for me. And I'm reading here that the original novella actually doesn't have the the station wagon sequence, the horse insurance, I guess the horse owner and the insurance man and the parents of the two young children and the police. I guess he added more characters to this for Bazaar of Bad Dreams. Although it lists like pretty much every one of the characters. So now I'm really curious to go back to that original novella, and I'll probably think it's too thin. I just think there's probably like one part you could probably cut out, like, or one of the characters. And because I was watching on our Discord, and a lot of people were saying the same thing, and they're basically like, how many people are gonna fucking stop and do this?
Yeah, that's like an assembly line of all of humanity, just one at a time. But no, I did like what Jen was saying. Like, it's like, listen to the kids; they're trying to communicate. And then we're talking about the raft. What about the finger cutting off? Is that the moving finger?
Oh, it could be. That's where the finger ends up. Yeah.
But I did like the effect of like the raindrops, and like I like how things just disintegrate as soon as they go in. There's not really any explanation, but when the cop says, like, they teach you never let go of your gun, so he just gets pulled in toward his death,
And I love the image of these kids just screaming that number when they're so freaked out and they're like, ah.
I agree with Mike too. That, like, I love the horror elements of this.
Yeah.
But I think it was dressed up a little bit in these differing points of view. It just seemed like it was extending it too much. Too many characters coming in. Which, once again, didn't hate it, but it's why I had it pretty low. I think I want it to be more EC Comics, more of like a monster story. Yeah, Jen.
Well, I wanted to ask you because, we're both parents, and I was wondering if that element of the story felt different to you, or felt like particularly gripping the way it felt for me.
For a second, like the dad getting his head like was taking popped off, or just like his back broken. I wasn't sure, but like, and the blood coming out, and I did like that we get some inner monologue with the dad of like, his last thoughts probably weren't very appreciative. He just seemed like a stressed out dad,
Yeah.
Like I can relate to that. So I did like that element of it, but like, I don't even have the kid hiding and everything. Like, I just feel like there was a more streamlined way to do all this, but still did enjoy it. Did it get to you though, Jen, the parent thing?
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah.
I like the kid though finding he finds the big kid's hideout. He does vodka.
Yeah, exactly. I love his exploration of the first drink. Well, okay, here's the question then. If you're going to streamline it, would you cut out that section where he's going to the shed?
I mean, I would say yes, but then I know it ruins the ending a little bit,
Yeah.
But maybe like the brother could have saved the sister instead of the kid coming to save them both. Who knows?
Yeah.
I know we're not doing sections here, but I gotta read one because this is the craziest. It's like I was cackling at this. All right, so it's a little bit of pound cake. It's on 14. The walls were decorated with 20 or 30 magazine gatefolds. Pete inspected these with great interest. He knew about pussies, had glimpsed more of them, a few of them on HBO and Cinespank before his folks got wise and blocked the premium cable channels. But these were shaved pussies. Pete wasn't sure what the big deal was. To him, they looked sort of oogie, but he supposed he might get with the program when he was older. Besides, the bare titties were... The bare titties made up for it. Bare titties were fucking awesome. And then I love this. He's like, "Let me see your pussy," he commanded one of the hustler girls on the wall and giggled. Then he said, "Let me see your shaved pussy," and giggled harder. He sort of wished Craig Gagan was here. Even though Craig was a dweeb, they could have laughed about the shaved pussies. Like, I was
okay, so we cannot cut
dying.
this section. We have to...
No,
Yeah.
like I had to.
Mr. Yummy right there. Yeah.
It's just so funny. Like I was just,
Bare titties are fucking awesome.
just the way I was saying it reminded me of like
that.
Cheech Marin and like Dust Till Dawn, just like, "Oh, apple pie pussy," just like
pussy.
and, I just couldn't fuck it. Like the way it just kept repeating. It's just like King's just sitting there being like, "All right, let's just add another one. Well, let's just add another one." Yeah. But it also is so like, I don't know. It was just like it was very innocent, and also like I kind of was laughing in that capacity too. But yeah, no, that great pound cake there.
Yeah.
Excellent pound cake. No, that was like, because I could picture himself like chuckling as he's writing. Like, So, oh man. Well, on that note, let's go to our number 8 story. This was my number 1 with a bullet.
This is number 8. Oh my god.
And I thought this was going to be everyone's number 1.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, sadly. We have 2 camps, so let's... Pfleegor, I get... All right, this is Summer Thunder. This is the story I remembered so much from reading, and it got to me so much. And I was wondering if it would affect me again in the same way, and it totally did, even more so. Wow. I'm sitting with Hank, petting him while reading it, and just like on the verge of tears. I love this story. Pfleegor, you had it at number 19. 19. Explain why.
I just wasn't a big fan. Why don't you tell me why you like it first, and then I'll tear you
No,
up.
you got cast of no. You tear it first, and we'll build it back up.
I thought this was a weak way to end this story collection. First of all, this is the final story, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is
it's the
it?
last one, yeah.
And I don't know. I've seen this done better with the radiation poisoning, and normally that's something I love. I love like a dystopian future like this, but just nothing really spoke to me. I mean, I enjoyed that the dog's name was Gandalf, but I just
It
really
hits
like
your
this
nerd
one. Really,
points.
like it came and it went, and I just did not enjoy it. But this is your number one.
Mine, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
All right. Well, I think I will say I think the reason I love it is probably why you hate it, because you're right. We have seen the post-apocalyptic radiation poisoning. We've even seen that from King before. We've even seen a dog in that world with Richard Matheson's I Am Legend.
Oh yeah.
And the Stan's Kojak, of course. What I liked is that it felt like this middle of the road slice of life version of that, as opposed to like this big I mean, it was grotesque in parts, but it had like a thoughtfulness and an elegance to it.
See, I'm surprised that you had Mile 81 as low, because I thought that would be up your alley with the monster. But this, I feel like, was King needing an excuse to ride a motorcycle off a cliff.
And dude, I
Like,
usually
it was the
hate
Laverne
King's
and
biker
Shirley
shit.
element to this.
Like, I usually hate the biker stuff with him, but yeah, I just like, as someone who thinks about apocalyptic forces in the world a lot, and I'm not a pessimist, but I worry about that more and more as I grow up. I'm 40. As I get older, this story seems to be an example of how you can take agency and ownership of these forces that are out of your control. Like where the main character just breaks, where they're trying to hold it together and he breaks down. He's like, how could they do this? How could they do this? That's how I feel so much when reading the news and just being a parent and all that. And I felt like this was this weird way of all three of these characters getting to die with dignity. And it's so hard to write that kind of thing and not have it come off as bleak and pessimistic, even though it has one of like the hardest dog deaths to read in his work, this side of Mr. D. I like that it was like, no, this is them going out on their own terms. And that just speaks to me. Cause I'm like, what would I do in this situation? I kind of hope I would.
Well, it's funny because he dedicates another one to Cormac McCarthy, but this, I forget actually which one it was, but this one's dedicated to Richard Chizmar.
Was it Death dedicated to Cormac McCarthy?
I forget. I gotta go through my notes to find it.
Yeah.
But
No, that
but
one's
but
that one's I believe
like
is
the
Elmer
road.
Leonard.
Oh, it is.
Like the road is more my speed.
Oh yeah, I love the road.
Like this one, I was just picturing like Born to Be Wild playing while he's driving at the end, and it's too cheeseball for me.
I love this. See, like I said, I hate the biker stuff, but this is like, I was like, yeah, man, do it. Go on.
Beezer.
I will
Where'd
say,
Beezer go?
I rag on Beezer and King's biker shit all the time. I got like a little sad when I read that he's like, yeah, my reflexes, I can't bike anymore. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have made fun of King for biking, because like it means a lot to him and he loves it, So I was just like, yeah, everything about it hit me in this. I don't know. Do we go to Jen or Mike? Because I know Mike's more on my side. Jen,
You go to Jen first.
Go to me first. Yeah.
Mike's like, I'll bring us home.
Yeah,
That was such a definitely a pointed move there.
Yeah, I think I did like this one. I enjoyed it. I think for me, this was, because I had this at number 14. This was just a virtue of like liking other things better, And also, it is dedicated to Richard Chizmar, but it's also dedicated to Kurt Suter, who is the showrunner of Sons of Anarchy. And this was, he made his cameo on Sons of Anarchy in 2008. So this was right around the time. And I think I loved Sons of Anarchy. I watched that whole fucking thing. Like, it tore me apart towards the end. But I was also starting to kind of get over it towards the end because we had these long musical montages. But I will still defend that show. But I think that really colored this story for me in a lot of ways, because what that show is really about is like masculinity and like macho dudes and like trying to figure out like how to like get your old lady in line or something like that. And while I do really love that show, I think it like kind of colored this story as kind of more macho to me than it probably would have if I had never watched Sons of Anarchy. And I do think like it's just really dark and it's about a bunch of dudes, and I was like, well, this is about, Jax Teller and trying to figure out what he's going to do, except he's not hot like Jax Teller. Like, he's not showing up. So I don't know. I think it just like the connection to Sons of Anarchy, I think actually hurt it for me in this, because it was like, this isn't Sons of Anarchy. I need that, like the murder song, that plays at the end.
I just watched Bike Riders recently as I was like
is
reading
that
this.
good?
I think
I wanna
that
watch
also detracted for me because I'm
Yeah.
like I didn't really like that movie either, and it's just I'm not a big biker fanatic like these two Harley boys over here, but
Vroom,
No,
vroom.
I hate motorcycles, but I love Summer Thunder.
so
Someone, a friend told me that I should watch Bike Riders because it's Chicago. It's Ben Nichols, and Jeff Nichols, who I like one of their music.
I like
films.
Nichols a lot, but it just was kind of a weird.
It was
Goodfellas
described
ripoff.
like a Hold Steady song to me. Is that accurate? Would you say it's accurate, Pfleegor?
Say again.
So they said it was like a movie version of a Hold Steady song.
I think it's more like I, Tanya, but
Wait, really?
I,
Bike
Tanya?
Riders is like I, Tanya.
Huh.
Oh,
I like
interesting.
Tanya, but yeah. I don't know.
It's just very much like a Scorsese poorly done ripoff, I think.
Oh. But
Damn,
Austin
all
Butler's hot. Sorry.
After I'm done watching Fitzcarraldo, maybe I'll fire up Bike Riders and
That's
see
a
where
good
we're
movie.
going. Yeah, Fitzcarraldo's great so far.
How did you get on Fitzcarraldo? You were texting. You texted that you're like, oh, I'm watching Fitzcarraldo last night. And I'm like, all right, where were the breadcrumbs to that one?
Did I get on Fitzcarraldo?
I think I
There's
told
a
you I was
reason.
reading. I
I'm
just
not
read
sure
Werner
why.
Herzog's
Like-
newest book.
Because I'm a dreamer. I'm just a dreamer, like Klaus Kinski.
You know, you are, yeah.
Although Klaus Kinski's kind of like Tommy Wiseau a little bit in that movie.
Oh, he's a psychopath. Yeah,
He's psycho in it.
and in real life, he's a psychopath. But didn't he like?
killed. I think he like sexually assaulted his
Yes.
Yeah,
someone in his
thought he was
family
the
and then
second coming
killed
of
someone.
Christ at a certain point.
Kill a man in a bar fight.
Hey, but I love psychopaths in my movies. Just bring him on.
yeah, he's great in it. Mike, you brought us on. Now bring us home for Summer Thunder.
Yeah. God, you really put it in such a nice little bottle there, Caffrey, early on, because I think Justin and I have these conversations because and especially with I think we all do actually together, because anytime you're around me, I'm just going to talk about how much I hate the world and I wish I didn't live in it, and a lot of us all agree that, like, as dire as things are, as awful as things are, you just have to appreciate what's around you and fight for it. And I think that this story nails it. It absolutely nails it. And I think that just something is like it's just the comment of like, well, warm beer is better than no beer or something like that. Or, just like, hey, it's not cold beer, but it's something. There's just so much appreciation for every gasp that you have left on this earth. And it really comes through. And I think, part of that is possibly King weighing on his own mortality as he does through all these stories. But I think also it's the notion that, like, oh, I can't do this. I can't actually do this. I can't do the cross country trip anymore. That's probably never going to happen now. And I think once, and I was talking to Sammy about this too, because, I think she was saying, well, he lived such a freewheeling life in terms of being an addict, because that's what you really are as an addict, is just everything's so freewheeling that you don't really think about, the end is inevitable in it, but you don't care. And there's a carelessness to it. And then once you get past it, you're like, oh shit, like, now the time's really ticking and I'm more aware of it. And I think all of that is funneling into this story. And that's why I do actually think it's a perfect ending for this book. I think this is it's a dark ending, but not really. Like, it's an optimistic ending too. And it's a death that isn't just inevitable, but forced upon. And there's it's inescapable too. Like, the world is over. The whole world is over. And this little slice of life, this escape from the horrors of the world, is over too. And in that way, it does feel almost like an epilogue for this book. Mm-hmm. So I would argue, yeah. So that's my argument for why I do think it's a really good button. And then you toss in the idea that, like, King is so good at writing the apocalypse. I just love his apocalypse stories, because it allows him to have that sort of silence, even though he kind of bemoans the silence in the story, but it allows you to have that silence that gives him the platform to just fucking flex his muscles, which is just character. And I bought the characters here. I really bought the situation. And the Harley Davidson thing, like, I'm not a big biker, obviously. I haven't seen the Bike Riders. I used to have a motorcycle toy with T2 on it, or not T2, but the T800. So that's about the closest I've gotten to motorcycles. But everyone I know, including my brother, who I helped get him a Challenger, I think it is, or yeah. Anyway, he loves it. There is a sort of a life that he gets out of it, and knowing that, and knowing King not being able to do that, there is something sad and sobering at the same time of it. So yeah, I mean, this was a debatable for me. I had 3 stories I was like debating as number 1, and this was in the mix. So
Can I say, you didn't mention it in the intro, but I was reminded of Frank Muller, who did a lot of the
Yeah.
narrations for the audiobooks, and then he was in a severe motorcycle accident and then had a prolonged dying. So you wonder if, in a way, he was like, "You're better off to go out and that better
Blaze
to
of
burn out than
glory.
to fade away," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you think he then would prefer Harold Lauder's death?
I don't know.
I mean,
Getting gangrene. and
You got to
shit.
write
Yeah.
a poignant message though, like that. I
Yeah.
do
I
love that. And then
Harold
Hawk
Lauder did
jumped.
take agency in his own death.
That's true. Hey, he was Hawk in his death.
Yeah. Hawk, good biker name. All right.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Pfleegor. I'm going to give you some redemption, and you get to defend yourself in the next.
I don't need your redemption, but go ahead.
Number 7, You Are, which was of course released. It wasn't was it the first story on a Kindle, or just like a promotional
One
thing
of
for
the first,
Kindle?
I think.
I think it's one of the first. It's
I
let me
think
look
it
real
tied
quick.
with the launch. He was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because the Kindle element was, I had this rated like number 10, I think. It was why I had it a little bit middle of the pack, because just discussing it as potentially dangerous technology feels outdated at this point. I'm not a big Kindle fan. I can only do hard copies, but like it felt a little dated. But once we got past it, I did think it was one of King's stronger technologically cautionary tales, if that makes sense. Like I thought I liked where it ended up going. I just had to get past some of like the look at this new device. Whoa,
Yes.
Kindle, just feels a little weird. Mike, you felt similarly to that?
Absolutely. It was down to like even like how you would order it, and then the Kindle books, and it just felt like, all right, are you going to be a part of this program? Here are all the call tos that you need to insert in your story
Smash
and make
the
sure that you have the
subscribe
marketing copy. Yeah, like that got a little distracting. But man, once you're in it,
Yeah.
it's a testament to King of just being able to take something and finding some sort of functionality that's really interesting and kind of becomes its own thing. Like the idea of this Kindle being a portal for parallel universes through literature, which most people say, what is the famous adage where it's just like the written word is the most important addition from the human race or something like that. It's like it's a powerful statement to say to be able to look through these parallel universes and find the written word through, especially these grades. And you could just tell King is just relishing at the idea of being able to find like books by his favorite authors, where that never really got to write those books. And it must have been fun for him to kind of come up with those different titles too. And
Yeah, I like
I don't know.
the titles. Yeah.
It was that aspect of it was really cool, but it does the thing where like Jerome in Mr. Mercedes, where like he's kind of like this little kid genius, and the student that he works with is just, I don't know, it's a little too oh my gosh, like what a genius. And then also he kind of seems so bought in to this insane idea very fast. And it's like for me, that was where it was hamstrung a little bit. It was just like, all right, this kid's kind of fucking annoying. Get him out of here. Yeah. But anyway, cool
good
idea.
ending,
Cool
and
concept.
Yeah, good arc and good progression. And once again, I have to remind myself how novel this probably felt back in 20 whenever the Kindle came out. Jen, what about you?
Well, I had this at 10, so I felt like kind of middle of the road, although I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting. And I was kind of like wondering, could you imagine like how many emergency episodes we would have had to do if one of us had gotten this Kindle and discovered all the new Stephen King stories, And like,
That's
oh,
how we keep the
gotta
show
read it.
going.
Exactly.
Next year.
That's what we need to do. Yeah. And I did find myself looking on Amazon to see how much a Kindle costs, because I had always been kind of anti. And then recently I was like, maybe.
You can get them in different colors now, right? That's not like a novelty anymore.
I would want a pink one. That is cool. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And I think like I love the nerdy idea of like, how is this novel different than this version of the novel? I love that it connects to 11/22/63 in this really fun way. And also like the low men in yellow coats. I love Dark Tower adjacent stuff. I like when we're still in our world, but it touches mid-world. So I really enjoyed that too. And just this idea of like, if you could prevent this tragedy, should you? And what, I couldn't help but think about 11/22/63 while I was reading this. Like, well, what are they causing? How are the ripples going to affect the rest of them too? But also, how do you not do something about this? So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it felt a little more slight to me, a little less thematically rich than some of the other stories in this, which is why I think it's not higher or lower. But yeah, it was just fun. I liked it.
What
Now,
would you?
Pfleegor. Go ahead, Mike.
Would it have taken down some points for you if like the low men were like, don't believe us, huh? And they like open up the trunk and like Ted Brodigan's in there. It's just like, let me out. And they like close. It's like that's where you're going. Yeah.
No, you know who I wanted is Dinky from Everything's Eventual, which is another one of my favorite stories there. Yeah, if he was in the trunk, then number one.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Pfleegor, what about you? You had this at number 2, and obviously a big Tower connection too. So did that figure into it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Cantoy fan. Of course, they're the hybrid with the tahine, and I love seeing their like living mask. And that everyone that sees them is like, there's something alive about that, which is like such a funny thing that everyone notices that. I did like the 1122 stuff. I love alternate universes, not the way it's being done to death like in Marvel movies, but just in general of like how easily things could be slightly different. So when they're going through the news and then like King makes a point of saying none of these news stories has Sarah Palin winning, which I think is just so funny that in every universe she's going to lose. But yeah, no, I like the relationship stuff. I thought that was fun. You know, it's like there's little fights that couples have where one is stressed and then he starts carrying around the Kindle to kind of impress her, which I think is funny.
Also kind of out of spite too.
Yeah. It's just like this little pettiness that I think works. And I think I put it in the chat, but there's like a MasterCard commercial or American Express that Stephen King made. And it's just really funny.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah. He talks about how, I think his friend said he looked like a haunted blackjack dealer or something. But I thought it was kind of interesting though, the insight into him being approached, being like, I don't know if I really want to do that. But then it actually kind of inspired him to write this story. So I mean, if I was Amazon, I would be pretty happy with King incorporating the product that much into his story.
Well, kind of reflects his own journey a little bit. Like, no, I don't want to do this thing. Then he gets addicted to it. Who here? I'm not a Kindle guy. Pfleegor, are you on Kindle?
I occasionally, I've come around to it. I still prefer the tangible quality of a book, but it is convenient sometimes. So like with the library, like with Libby, I'm reading that youth group graphic novel right now on my tablet, which comes recommended. It's like Archie, but if they fought actual possessed demons, if that makes sense. Nice. Yeah.
And then Jen, you said you've started to get into it a little bit.
I'm Kindle curious right now. I don't know if I'll ever do it. I'm an audiobook girl, and I do really like the hand putting like the weight of a book and like the kind of smell of it, the tactile.
I always smell my books. I look like a freak from the library.
It is funny to think about like a version of this story, like a pound cake version, where it's just like how many different porns can we look up? What are all the different things we can find?
You don't want to look at shaved pussies or awesome fucking titties. Mike, you're not a Kindle guy, are you?
No, I like the simpler pleasures like butter in my ass and lollipops in my mouth. That's just me. That's just something that I enjoy. Call me crazy, call me a pervert. Yeah, no, I'll never.
Hey, yeah, that's a quote from a library policeman. If you think about it.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think Justin is a Kindle person though, or he's a read on his phone person. Yeah. And Randall too, I think.
I got Sammy a Kindle and she was devouring books through it just because as you're traveling, it is a luxury and you also can flip through it faster. You're just you're kind of reading it in the same way as your phone. So maybe it would work for me, but I just love the books. And as he says with like the smells and stuff, even when he wrote that, it was just like smelling this largely inconsequential book that I probably got from Amazon. I can't remember where I picked this
Bible?
up. Yes, the Bible. I was like the King James Bible. I was just like, ooh, smells like hypocrisy.
I have a friend who is just legit reading the Bible right now, like just out of curiosity. He's not even religious.
I've thought about it. I wrote this TV pilot that's called Bible Horror Stories, and it's like Bible stories but done like EC Comics, like a horror anthology thing. So it's like Jesus coming back from the dead, but it's like a zombie
I read
thing.
it.
Yeah, it's fine.
I read it. I've probably read it like 5 times at this point, just because it was
I thought I'm like, I should actually read the Bible. I never have.
Yeah. Right. They made us like write these for like Mark, which is largely about the teachings of Jesus Christ across like it's very episodic. It's probably like the most adventurous if you really think about it. But they made us write like one of my idiotic theology teachers was like, all right, so one of the assignments is like you have to draw like each one of these sections. So like when he's like sending people off the sheep off the cliff or whatever, with like you have to draw that, or like you have to draw the water to the wine and all this other stuff. So it got ingrained in me. But let's just say this bad boy was interested in reading Revelations every time I was in church.
Yeah, Revelation is where it's at.
It's just
Yeah.
it's
I
so
thought you were
good.
gonna say.
Not Revelations, Revelation.
Revelation.
I thought you were gonna say this bad boy was interested in reading awesome fucking titties whenever.
Awesome fucking titties.
Summer
Yeah.
Thunder and Seven-Headed Dragons. Yeah.
Well, it's usually between like the book of Leviticus and
Oh, God.
Exodus, and then titty.
Yeah.
Book of
Those,
titty.
those are your top
Bot.
3.
So
So
man. Well,
We're all
You
going
know.
to hell now.
Mike had an altercation with the church.
Oh.
Oh,
But-
I know what this is going.
Batman and Robin are gonna have an altercation in this next story, aptly titled "Batman and Robin Have an Altercation." Let's see. Who Pfleegor? This was your number one. I love this story
What is
as well.
this ranked?
but you had this is
I had
number
mine number
6.
1, but what is it for the group?
6 overall?
What?
Not
Oh,
bad.
I'm so disappointed in that.
Great. I look.
I love
I
this
still
story.
still loved it. I had it at let's see. Mike had it at 7. I had it at 4. I'll wait to say what Jen had it at. We'll see.
Oh,
But
no.
Pfleegor, go ahead.
Well, Pfleegor's is a huge DC Comics guy. So
I'm just a big Applebee's guy.
Love
But
this
no,
game.
it is funny because I love Stephen King eating at Applebee's, even though he has all this money. But
I know.
It's just like in
I was
Tampa
thinking the
Strip
same
Mall,
thing.
you go in.
It's like, what would I want?
Because he talks about the Tamiami Trail, which I've been on a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the trail through Tampa. I like the setup of the dad kind of having a klepto phase. So I went into this, I had totally forgotten from my first time reading it, but it pays off with the stealing of the steak knife, right? And him being quick with it. So it was another one where I was like, oh man, like didn't see that coming and like should have seen it, but I really enjoyed that payoff.
Yeah, that was like I wrote down it was expertly plotted. I mean, like I don't think there's like a bad note in this as far as how it's plotted. And even though the redneck guy who he gets into the fight with is sketched a bit broadly, I'm like, well, it's Florida. I grew up in
true.
Florida, and I
You're a
definitely
Florida man, yeah.
I've had interactions not that extreme, but like I've seen dudes get that violent over much less, and encountered some of those characters myself. And once again, I was moved by the end of this, the fact that, and yeah, I've now had I'm my third grandparent with dementia. She's downstairs right now, and it's strange what the mind and body hold on to sometimes. And like, there's something very moving to me about, like, we see the worst parts of dementia with him saying the thing about possibly fucking the neighbor, and the guy doesn't know if it's true, and it just throws him in a tailspin. Like, ew, did my dad cheat on my mom? But then at the end, it's like this core of loving and protecting his son, even though he doesn't really know the logistics of the situation. He just knows that's my son. I have to protect him. That was very moving to me as a son, as a father, etc. Pfleegor,
I like
did it hit you emotionally as well?
Yeah, the oil man, like roughneck, where it's like, yeah, he's a man of action, so he just snaps into it. You can think of him as like Uncle Junior, losing his mind, and also it's dedicated to John Irving, this story, and I'm a huge John Irving fan.
yeah,
So
same.
it's just like this delivered everything from the 2-for-1 apps down to the John Irving. I'm all about Batman and Robin.
It felt kind of like a John Irving story,
Yeah.
because John Irving stories always get very violent out of nowhere, but then come down to earth again and get very sentimental and
Like a stick shift into your eye, man.
yeah. Oh yeah, and Garp, right?
Garp,
the God, she's like giving him
Well,
a blowjob and gets the
I know.
Yeah.
awful. Is that in the movie? I can't remember.
Yeah,
Surely
it's
not.
hinted at.
Is
No,
it?
the eye thing isn't, but the guy who's the
He
dick
bites.
is. Yeah.
Kind of.
Oh,
Ugh, God, good
Yeah.
book though. Roffman, what were your thoughts on this one?
So this is funny because I remember seeing, ahead of any short story collection that we were going to review, I always looked at the titles and see if I've recognized any of them. And I remember seeing this and thinking genuinely that he was going to write a Batman and Robin story. And I was like, God, do we
like,
really need
pow!
this? Yeah. And then I saw that, it was in Harper's Magazine. So I was like, okay, there's no fucking way it's about Batman and Robin. But the connection to Batman and Robin is so, it really hit me in the heart. When we were doing the Fortune and Glory podcast, over at Halloweenies, which is our Indiana Jones sidecast, that franchise means a lot to me just because I love it so much, just at face value. But that was a franchise that I shared so much with my dad, and he took me to go see Last Crusade, and it was like a big memory to me. And I remember like talking all about it on the podcast, and then right afterwards, I was just like, Dad, this is a great memory. And he's just like, oh, I don't even remember it or whatever. And I was like, God damn it. Like, and it was like kind of like a bummer out moment, but to have this moment where he does remember them dressing up as Batman and Robin, and it was just like, oh, this is so good. This feels, I don't know. It's like, it's syrupy, but not really. Like he keeps it so grounded with just like I don't know, like the fucking meatloaf dribble or the steak dribble that's on his mouth, and he's just kind of staring up in the air. It's just like, oh God, that's so dark. But to have that, you earn the sort of hallmark moment. And I love where it ends up. And I don't know, it is telling that he did this to John Irving, because it does feel like an Irving style story. Although I feel like it would have a little more violence in it. But yeah,
More
I mean,
prostitutes also, yeah.
more prostitutes, and instead of him, he'd probably like shit his pants if he got hit and stuff. So I mean, there's just a lot of darkness that you could have added, but I kind of like that he keeps it pretty level-headed, and it was a charming tale.
Now, Jen, did you not find it so charming? Was
Well,
it too
yeah,
much
I'm glad y'all have all
story?
talked about how heartwarming this was and how much you enjoyed it, for me to just totally tear it apart. No, I think the reason that I disliked it, or I had it so low, is because it is so good and it did hit me emotionally. And like, I love the catharsis at the end when that fucking Florida man just gets his ass stabbed,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was listening to this in traffic too. And so I was like looking around and like, who would I get, But I think the reason this one bothered me, one, it came on the heels of Premium Harmony, so I was already kind of in this state of like, I'm in a world I don't want to be in, and this one is much more so. Like, I have been thinking about like my parents and them dying, and like more so like kind of living in fear of like, what if one of them comes to live with me, and what if I'm having to change diapers, and if I'm having to really deal with a lot of this stuff that feels really overwhelming, while I have like a really troubled and complicated relationship with both of my parents. So I do not want to do that. Like, it feels like it's like this looming thing that's hanging over my head, and this story really pulled me into that world, and I was like, what if this is me? I don't want this to be me right now. I've got a lot of shit I need to deal with before I can be this. And also, I'm starting to think about like my own body breaking down, and like, I can't remember things. My eyes, I need glasses sometimes. And so I think this kind of feels like the beginning of King really working through what old age means when your body starts to break down. And it's really palpable, and it's really strong in a way I found really kind of off-putting and really confronting. Although I do think it is a really good and sweet story, but it was just like, I could not let myself really engage with this because it just felt like too much, because it feels so real,
Well, it appears you did let yourself engage with this next story because you ranked it fairly high at number 7. Number 7 for you for overall ranking. Number 5, this is Obits. Tell us why you loved Obits.
Man, I fucking loved this story. This is great. I remembered not liking it so much before, but like before, I read this before I was writing, before I was podcasting, before I was like engaging in any of this world, like the clickbait thing, or like, how do you craft a title that's going to get clicks on it, So reading about that world, it's just such a nasty little site that I was also like, well, yeah, but if you've got to make a living, sometimes you end up writing for those sites because that's just what you do, and that's the only thing that's available. And then this idea of like, if I could kill anyone in the world and there were no consequences for me, who would I kill? What would I do? I love that there's this like this rape element of it. I mean, I don't like that part, but it's something that I've thought about a lot. Like, if I could kill Harvey Weinstein in jail, would I? But then also this idea that like this kind of retribution or this vengeance, like it poisons everybody around you, and it is a widening pool. And I just thought it was a really interesting exploration of that, and like, what does that do to you when you have that kind of power? And I really liked how intoxicating the guy found it. Like, he wanted to keep going, he wanted to do it more, and like he was really afraid that he wasn't going to be able to stop. And I loved all of the ideas that this brought up, and I was thinking, who would I kill?
Same, and it also felt like just classic King. Once again, tightly plotted. I mean, I will say the ending wasn't quite enough of a stinger for me.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it subverts his own endings because the guy kind of gets away and lives a peaceful life. But I did overall
living
love it.
without your internet a kind of death,
Yeah, for me it would be.
Without the fame and fortune.
I've been in stretches where I don't have it, and I feel like I'm addicted to smack or something.
Yeah.
And I will say too, I know when he does that like first obituary, and he's like, "Oh, and I knew it wasn't especially funny." I was like, "Oh no, I thought it was pretty funny."
Yeah.
I was laughing at it. Mike, Jen had mentioned, this kind of coming on the heels of SEO and how long you have to make your headlines and all these journalistic standards, which you obviously have a lot of experience with. You ranked it number 5, I think. Did it at all speak to you from an internet / blog
Yes.
Editor perspective.
Yeah, and it gave me just like heartburn because I just remember being in this, I mean, waking up in this inescapable prison, and just the audacity, and just not really the audacity, but just the blunt response of the editor who dies about the raise and everything. Just was like, oh God, yeah, this is a culture I remember, and this is a culture that still exists. And it's not so much even that, you know, she's a bad person. She's just being very pragmatic about the reality around them. Is that like everyone thinks they're a writer, everyone can be a writer, at least in this day and age, and you're replaceable no matter what your quality is, because in the end it doesn't really matter, especially when you're writing this stuff. And it just was, I was actually really surprised at how much inside baseball he knew. And I almost like wish I had read this before we spoke to him, because I'd love to talk to him about like what his research was like for this, because it's a very modern story. And I would imagine King has largely been removed from that sort of environment forever. I mean, I sincerely doubt when he was doing his EW columns, he was like sitting there in his own office, just being like, sitting in the EW office, being like, hey, do they get a raise for these lost, columns? It's just like, no, he didn't have to do this. The last time he did this was like, I don't know what, before The Exorcist at theaters. I mean, it's just like, it's been forever. So that surprised me a lot, but I know this is going to sound like, oh, what a guy saying this, but man, I love the smut in this. I fucking loved it. I just loved how sexualized the Katie character was. I was all in on like, all right, let's get them together in this fucking private room again. I want to see them like kill someone and fuck. Like this is so. Oh yeah,
very like Billy Nolan, Chris Hargensen.
Yes, I loved that, and I just loved. It was very sexy, and I was actually surprised this wasn't published in like Playboy or something like that, or like, it was previously unpublished. Like he could have easily done this in like a gallery or something like that. So
Adam.
Adam. Yeah. So I enjoyed this one. This is one where I had to stop midway through because our dinner had come, and I just finished really fast so I could go back and read it. And now, granted, again, this is another model where I think I finally put it a little lower, because this is really in my top 3, but I put it a little lower just because he has done this before. Like,
that's my critique.
He's done the monkey's paw kind of thing before. Yeah, Fleer, you had this at number 12, so it's not like super low, but a little bit more middle.
Before embarking on a quest of revenge, dig 2 graves and bury this story in one of them. No, I actually think this feels to me like the brainstorm for right? It's an enchanted device.
Is it or
I'm not sure, but it's an enchanted device that allows you, in theory, to alter the state of reality, right? And I think I kind of like the way is explored a little bit better, including the relationship that he has with his girlfriend. But I did like this. I just think this was kind of I thought the editing stuff was a little more interesting, actually, than the mechanism. I thought that was very, like, once I figured out, or once they explained it, like, okay, you write a name, you get killed. It's like, okay, that gimmick kind of doesn't go that far for me. But I do like the podcaster, I think Mike listens to it, Van Lathan. He used to work for TMZ, and he gives a lot of insight into what it's like working in that sort of environment. So it's having, like the monkey's paw of TMZ is kind of an interesting concept. So I enjoyed reading it, but it kind of middle of the road, I guess, for this collection.
There's like a really sick pleasure, I think, too, in watching him like write the meanest things he can think of. Because, we all have those thoughts. Like, what if I made this just fucking nasty? What if I said the joke that is in my head that I know I shouldn't say, and I don't really want to say it, but it comes in your head and it's a killer joke and somebody would laugh. And he gets to put it out on the page. And I think there's a kind of a sick pleasure in that too. But it also has that meanness of like, what is it? Word processor of the gods too, where it's like, I'm going to use this power for evil,
Where he compared the editor's kid to Pol Pot, like the kid looked like Pol Pot. I was like, Jesus. I laughed. Very nasty, but very funny though too. Yeah. Okay, well, of course we write obituaries for people who have gone to the afterlife, which is our number 4 story. Similar in that it's like pretty nasty and complete, like a very circular story. Although it has a nasty ending too, which Obits doesn't. Let's see, who had this? Fleer had it 6. Mike had it 6. I had it 6. Jen had it at 11.
Yeah.
Jen, kick us off since you maybe were a little bit softer on this.
Yeah, I really liked this one. This was another case of just liking other ones more. And I think if I had to choose between this and Obits, I would definitely pick Obits. But there's just this gross quality of these men who are just kind of shitty, like just delusional quality of like, no, I'll be great in the next life. You know, if given the chance to live your life over, I'm going to do it all right. I'm going to remember this time it's going to work. You know, it's very much like Tobias, like talking about having an open marriage with Lindsay Bluth. You know, it's like this time, this is going to be the one, you know. And I also really like the idea of this being the afterlife. Like, I wouldn't mind, you know, my life has not been all sunshine and roses, but it's been okay. And like, if that's what I get at the end, if I just get to do it over and over and over again, like, I think that'd be cool. You know, maybe I would have met you guys at the beginning of the pod instead of like 3 years in. Maybe that's the one thing that I change. But
You could have been on night shift.
I could have been on night shift. I know. Hey, and Skeleton Crew.
It's funny. I just realized too. I said this has a nasty ending, and I realized that's saved for another story we're gonna talk about later.
Well, I mean, it does end with a birth, which can be kind of gross sometimes.
But it was funny because you can read this either way, right? It's the Lady and the Tiger, and it's I'll pass it to my Dark Tower Detour mate in a minute. It's very reminiscent of Dark Tower, I think, with Roland and the Horn.
And I
you
love
have to
that
wonder,
ending too. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to wonder, like, okay, will he make it different? And I don't know. There was something very touching about seeing this very flawed man become a little baby again that just made me optimistic. I was like, yeah, maybe he will. But who the fuck knows, right? Pfleegor, what were your thoughts, though? Because especially speaking to the Tower angle.
Yeah, and I think because Mike and I just a few weeks ago saw Beetlejuice in the theater for the anniversary. And this reminded me a lot of Beetlejuice, of just like this bureaucratic purgatory where no one really wants to be there. Everyone's just frustrated. And I like the detail that it was the Triangle Shirt Waste Factory fire. This is why the guy was being punished, you know, the guy behind the desk. We had
Should
the
have been
Hemingford
smoking.
Home. Yeah.
Oh, it's Hemingford Home.
Home being mentioned in Mother
Multiple
Abigail.
times throughout this book. Yeah.
And the other thing, this was in the audio book. This was read by Dylan Baker. And I really like his voice. And I thought he was a great choice for this one.
Was he playing his character from Happiness?
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, he always kind of plays a similar guy, but I really like him.
Yeah, it is definitely in that like Inside Out King again with Little Green God. Like, oh, this is how the mechanics of this work. But yeah, I was
comic feel to this one, or comic book.
Yeah,
or creep show feel or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like the flawed / shitty male protagonist is kind of a hallmark of anthology horror too. Like the guy seems like this normal square dude, and you're like, oh, he's actually done some kind of bad things. Mike, you also had this at 6. What were your thoughts?
It's just a tight story, you know. It's he's so good at coming up with something original with things that we all think about, you know. Like we all think about what's going to happen after all this, and to take it to this direction where purgatory is just this remedial job is really funny. Like, I mean, again, yeah, it is the Beetlejuice aspect of it all for sure. But I don't know, like the way it's told and the matter of fact and nature of this guy that works there, you know, Harris, is just, I don't know. It's really, it reminds me of like a dark version of Defending Your Life also.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the options here are so much more dire. Because there is this sort of like senselessness to all of it. To his job, to the idea that you can go back and repeat it again and again, to the fact that you could be blurted out. It's like, I guess so his job is to just keep making him so that he wants to try to blur, just be like, boop, I don't exist anymore. And that's a really nihilistic way to look at just souls and the passage of time and all of it. I don't know. It was one that just stuck with me because it's a concept that we're always going to think about. And this is one way to look at it. I think a lot of people, when you get these sort of concepts, they become the featured JPEG for those themes, those ideas later on in life, you know. Like for me, I'm always thinking about Defending Your Life in the afterlife. With hell, I'm always thinking of like Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure with the fucking version of hell there. Like there's just stuff that sticks with you. Bogus Journey. But this is one of them, and it's a tight fucking story. That's all I could say.
And it's weird too, because even though it is scary in its own way, there are worse ways to imagine an afterlife. Like I think it is
yeah.
kind of I'm like, oh yeah, I think it
revival,
kind of
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Jen.
yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, which ones would you guys pick? Which door? Would you wink out or would you do it again?
I'd do it again.
I think I'd do it again too.
I think I'd do it again.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Call me Steely Dan because I would do it again.
Hey, go
Do
back,
it
Jack.
again.
Do it again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to go back. We're actually going to go forward
No,
to our
we're
number
not going
3
back.
story. Can't go back ever. Under the Weather. Mike, you had this ranked very high, I believe. Number 2 for you. So why don't you kick us off?
yeah, I mean, this is God. I mean, it's just again, it's another one of those stories that you love to find in a King book. It goes back to the beginning of why we fell in love with him, and that ending is so good. I mean, it's so good. It's like the urban legend you tell, or the spooky story you tell when you're in like grade school. Like, has anyone heard the urban legend of like the dog licking the hand?
Fuck yeah, yeah. Humans
Yeah.
can lick hands too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, no, what is this?
Oh, it's a cool story. It's a little long, but like the idea is that like at night, whenever you hear something, he puts his the guy puts his hand down, has his dog lick his hand.
It's like
to make sure-
reassuring.
to reassure him, and he keeps hearing this dripping noise, and he keeps doing it, and he keeps doing it, and he keeps doing it, and he finally checks, and the dog is hanging there dead in the shower.
He's hearing the
And then-
dripping blood.
And then that's the dripping of the blood, and then so you wonder like who's been licking his hand the entire time.
And then on the wall, written in the dog's
is-
blood, it's humans can lick hands too. That's
it's
a
so good.
variation.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's a great
Ooh.
story. So this ending kind of reminds me of that sort of grotesque, gruesome. Again, we always say it, but EC Comics style ending, and I love how it's married with this very vintage look at the marketing industry. Which, by the way, like, what is with like King's fascination with marketing? Because it's in Cujo, it's in
Yeah.
this. He did it. He did it before. Like
When he
Was
went
that
back
what
to
he
it
wanted
with
to
Vic
do?
and rattlesnakes.
yeah.
Too,
Yeah, I think like when you jump to Scribner or wherever, he talks a lot about like the positioning the books. I think it's like the creative side gets annoyed by the marketing side, so I think it's just
Yeah.
something that fascinates him a lot.
The
And I'm sure he's seen
cynicism.
times where he thought their plan was terrible, and then his book sells well, and then it's like, what
I mean,
came
he never lived there, I don't think, but he went to New York a lot
Yes, and he hates it.
during like the publishing
Yeah.
boom in the 70s through the 90s. So I think maybe he's just been around it
in
a
that
bit. Yeah.
Gargoyles
Also, when-
book, he says like once a year he goes to New York to have all his business meetings.
Also,
But this-
Mad Men premiered in 2007.
So that makes
Well,
sense.
I say there's a Mad
Okay.
Men reference in it because the firm is called Slattery.
Oh, yes, John
I was
Slattery.
wondering that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
politician
there's
that
also a
pays out
John
himself.
Madman. I really like this one. I think I ranked it pretty high.
You had this at number 5. Yeah. Very high.
Yeah, so, man, Mike and I right on. I like that there's like Nasla Cola is one of their
Oh yeah.
clients,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
a funny reference. But I like the idea of like just do it, the quick phrase. So under the weather. Oh, she's under the weather, and how it disarms people very quickly. So as a marketing genius, he's keeping this lie going through marketing, and I think that's a cool, clever way to put it. And it's also that you don't fully know if he's killed his wife until the end, or that she's not alive. But I did enjoy that thing of like, quick, memorable phrases are what marketing is all about, and that's what he uses to hide his crimes for so long.
Yeah, it's fun. I love this story too. I had it lower, I think, like in the middle somewhere. And I think for me, and King even says this, you know the ending before we get there, right?
Yeah.
Like immediately what's going on. And so I feel like it's almost more of a more clever story that's getting by on ideas, like you said, Pfleegor, the slogans and vibe, which that's not a knock against it. I think I just prefer the ones, at least in this collection, to be slightly more plot driven, but I still really enjoyed it. Jen, what about you? You had this at number 9, it looks like, so a little bit higher than me, but a little bit lower than Dan and Mike.
I did really enjoy this one a lot. But I think like when I was hearing you guys talk about the ending of Dune, or the Dune, that's how I kind
Dune,
of viewed the
Frank
ending.
Herbert's
Oh yeah, well, hey, Timothée Chalamet. I saw the ending of this coming, and in a way that like I didn't with the Dune, so I think that kind of undercut it just a little bit. But I do really enjoy this, and I think when I'm looking at the overall theme of this collection, like of beginning the process of really reckoning with what death means and what the reality of that is and the mundanity, I think this is a really interesting one. Like if I just pretend it doesn't exist, if I just pretend I'm going to live forever, will I? And here it's a really nasty way of him discovering, no, life is going to keep going without me. My body is going to eventually break down. The body of my spouse is going to break down too, because that's another thing that you start thinking about. And I think it's really a kind of weirdly uplifting version of this really, really dark story. And I think it's just really well written, even though we know exactly what's happening at the end the whole time. There's kind of a satisfaction in seeing how far he's going to go and how much he can push it. And I just also like the idea of this like rotting corpse in bed next to him and the dog like constantly chewing on it, you know? And I mean, this is setting up the third dog death in this book too. So it doesn't happen in the story, but it's going to happen.
Like I was saying, the Slattery reference, like Roger Sterling is one of my favorite characters on Mad Men. And it's just, so in my mind, he's actually, that actor's done some audio for King novels.
He has.
But I just picturing him as that character, this kind of upbeat guy that's just going about his life, despite how dark things are. I thought it was great. Like
climbing out of windows with his fancy suits and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, hey, and Mad Men. Oh, no, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I mean, it wouldn't be beyond his, his pay grade too, because on Sex and the City he enjoys being peed on. Or
he does.
Yes, I think it is that he enjoys being peed on, or
he wants Carrie to pee on him. Yes,
yeah.
As he's running for comptroller.
The more I hear about that show, the stranger it gets.
Oh, dude, it's so good. You gotta watch it.
Me and Caffrey actually saw the movie, having never seen the show.
You can't judge it by the movie. No, especially the second one.
Why did you end up going to see Sex and the City movie?
We had like a double date.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
See it, so.
Not with each other. No. The first
I
one
had
is
seen
good.
episodes that I liked, but man, that movie was pretty bad.
Hey, I tell
It's
you
not
what,
great. The first one's better than the second one's garbage.
second one is
Mad Men,
absolute
I guess.
garbage. Hey, if I watch all of The Sopranos, you guys should watch all of Sex and the City.
Yeah.
We'll make that trade.
I think you'll really like, especially the first season. You really love it because it really is just a snapshot of late '90s.
Yeah,
and I think it's really, I don't know, it's kind of
And
fun.
So is Entourage.
in the way that like
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld has dated like all of these people that would go on to be like A-list actors, there are a lot of guys that
There's
pop
so
up
many.
too. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
Sorry.
sex,
Welcome back to Sex and the City corner.
whether or not to get peed on, you might say those are issues of morality. Our number 2 story. This is the one before. I was confusing the titles where I'm like, oh, it has a nasty ending. I think this is the nastiest story in the book, and I love it for it. Some more hate fucking to the max.
So good.
It just, look, love Sentimental King. Love when he can make me feel better about humanity. I also like when he's just showing people at their darkest. Just a lot of fun. Mike, you had this at number 1.
Oh yeah, this is candy. This is just candy, brother. You explain it all because it's just sex and sex and sex and sex. To quote David Bowie, or no, actually the Rolling Stones. I love this story. Like the whole War of the Roses of it all, in a way. I guess you could kind of call it that. It's so much fun. It's just I love the collateral damage of temptation and what it does and how temptation can breed into other things. And there's so much of that, and where it goes is just interesting. And it is very larger than life, just because he loves to get that old man that does something that tips the ball rolling. Because it's not Harrigan's Phone per se, but it does feel in that same realm. Like you could probably make a short story collection of like King's old man stories.
Yeah, like grumpy old men.
Yeah.
Grumpy, dirty old men.
Obviously, he told her to like hit a kid. What do you think his specific instructions were? Like, do we know exactly what he told her?
I kept wondering about that because
pick a young kid who looks like he's having a great day and knock that fucker on his ass. Break his nose. Yeah. That's what I said.
I really thought it was going to be something even darker, but I'm glad it was just something so middling because, I mean, it's not that
picture yourself if presented with that. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd like to think, but like, okay, she's not killing anyone. You're just being asked to like, hit someone real quick. I mean, it's horrible, but like,
it's that mundanity, you know.
We could put ourselves into their shoes, given that situation.
Yeah, it's just the ending too. Like you were saying, the ending is so good. Just this relationship is absolutely torched, and it also feels like a parallel to most relationships anyway. Is that it's just going to be like, this is where it's going to end up. But by the end of it, if it doesn't work, scorched earth on both sides. And just her idea of like looking at this is like, oh, he finally published the book. Neat. Well, it's garbage.
I love how like pathetic he made the guy in the end.
Yes.
Like, he just like brought lightning and thunder down on that guy. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Jen, what about you? You had it slightly lower, I think at 6, but obviously still really liked it.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that this one is as high as it was, and I'm really glad you guys liked this. Like, going into it, knowing a couple of y'all hadn't read these stories, I was wondering where this was going to fall. And I liked it a lot more the second time. The first time I was like, what are we doing? This is really dark. And I was starting to pick up the tone of this collection, you know? But yeah, it is just really kind of nasty. And it opens that moral quandary of like, what would I do in a way that like movies like The Box do, you know?
Yep.
If I could get away with it, would I do this? What is it going to do to me? And I like the idea. It's kind of like that AA thing of like you're poisoning yourself, and like resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person is going to die. It's like it just kind of keeps eating away at your soul. And what kind of person are you going to become if you do this? And is the money ever worth it? What's the movie with Woody Harrelson
Indecent
and Demi Moore?
Proposal.
Indecent Proposal. Yeah, it's got kind of got that vibe to it too. And I love the like conflation of violence with sex. Like the only way she can get off now is if she gets punched in the face too. It's this like self-harm idea of no one is ever going to punish me for this thing, so I have to punish myself, even though that's not like she's not consciously doing that. She's creating this system in which she is getting punished with the very thing that she did to this little kid. And it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. I've only watched the beginning of Indecent Proposal.
Oh,
But it's so weird because they show
Only
Woody
the sex
Harrelson and Demi Moore when they're like 16, and they're just using them as actors. Like, it almost looks like they put Randy Quaid's wig from Kingpin on Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
And they give Demi Moore braces. Very strange. Anyway, Pfleegor, what about you? I mean, you had this in your top 10, so still up there.
I mean, I agree with a lot of what's been said. I'll just add one more note that I actually really enjoyed the intro for this, where Stephen King talked about writing English and sociology essays. And, you know, the process of whoring yourself out. And I just really like his payment scheme of like, if I get an A or a B, you pay me this. A C is nothing. And if I don't, if I get any lower, then I pay you. And then he would like take on their writing style. It just seems like such a funny scheme. But yeah, I thought this was pretty good. I could actually see this being made into like a film.
Yeah.
Because I think you could actually put a little more meat on this and space it out to a feature length. Especially with like some of the psychosexual stuff. It kind of reminded me of like Apt Pupil in a weird way of like how these like doing these bad things were then spilling over into other aspects of their life.
Well, if it's going to be a film, who's going to direct it?
Not who directed Apt Pupil, I'll tell you that.
No. Oh, no. Is that Bryan Singer?
I'm trying to choose someone like who does well with like nasty stories.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of. Like, I don't know. Well, okay. Well, my other question, would y'all punch the kid, or would you say, fuck off, old preacher?
I mean, I got student loans.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it.
I don't think I could either.
Everybody's got a price, as Vince McMahon or Ted
true.
DiBiase used to say, the $1 Million Man.
Well, speaking of hitting kids, or harming kids, rather.
Oh.
We're at our number one spot. Now, look, we all had consensus on this. This story, it was none of our number ones, but it was in all of our top 4s. And that's how you get to that number one spot. I know we've had some differing opinions, but you don't get to number one without some consensus. And that, of course, is Bad Little Kid, previously published in English until this collection. Who wants to kick us off? We all had pretty similar thoughts about this, I think. Once again, not like I don't know if it's thematically a lot to chew on. I guess you could, well, no, I was going to say you could debate whether the kid is real, but that's not true. We know it is by the end.
I can debate whether it's real.
Oh, yeah? Go ahead.
That's
Go ahead, Jen.
Part of what I really like about this story, and one of my all-time favorite things to do is like, is that character real? You know, even though I know, yes, it is confirmed, but like, what is the character symbolizing? And of course, we know the bad little kid isn't real, or at least it's not a human being. It's like probably a demon that's been possessed. I am so surprised to see this at the very top. As I was like thinking about what y'all were going to think about the story, there's an element of it where it almost feels a little bit like so on the nose that it feels a little embarrassing. And I was like, is he really going this iconic? But it's so well written. And this little kid is such a fucking dick.
He's such a fucker. I'd punch that kid for money.
I would punch that kid. But there's also this like Halloween-y kind of feel to the story. Like it feels very autumnal. And I was listening to it as I was driving, and I was like trying to see if I could see any leaves that are turning yet, because like there's a little bit of a chill in the air. And that's like this, it's just so fun and nasty. And I like the idea idea that like, what is this kid? Why is he obsessed with this guy? One, it could just be completely random and he's just a demon that happened to catch this guy's attention, or this guy caught his attention. But also, what is it? What if he's like a manifestation of insecurity? You know, what if he like is feeling insecure about holding hands with this girl, or like, can I still date this girl even though I'm the lead and she just bombed her audition? And like, well, now am I dating her, the girl he married, because my other girlfriend died? Am I settling? You know, so I really like the idea that maybe this little kid could be a manifestation of this really disgusting piece of himself. And if we extend that to the lawyer at the very end, like maybe he's thinking, or a part of him is thinking, like, how can I be letting this guy die when I know why he did it? You know, it's really interesting. It's such a rich text, but it comes packaged in this really bubblegum way. And I love the idea that it was in German. Like, I was obsessed with that Beatles song. I had it like the live at the BBC tapes. I think it might be on there. So it's fun, and it's got a lot of really interesting thematic questions in it.
And there's something, I know I said before about how reading violence towards little boys especially has become hard since becoming a father, but in this one, like, there's something so satisfying when he shoots the kid. Like, it just, he goes, it's so explicit and gratuitous. I love it. Mike, what about you?
Oh, the gratuity is the best part about this. It's just so, there's so many shots, and the fact that it goes to the head, it's so awesome. And it's just like, just imagining, just looking outside of this and just seeing this guy, there's no way that this movie or this book or the story doesn't end with him dying. And the fact that he carries through with it, King does, and he dies, like, it's just so blunt. It's just like, this thing is never going away. And that's kind of what I love about his horror sometimes, is that it's very obdurate, to borrow from 11/22/63. And it's just going to keep going on and on. This is one I'm surprised hasn't been turned into something. Like, this could have easily been a Creepshow episode. This could have easily been just, I don't know. It could, you could see this as being like an 80-minute Shudder movie too. I don't know. Like, this is where I'm talking about, where I'm like, it's so upset about like the adaptations that are coming out right now. It's like, I'm granted, I'm very stoked for The Long Walk and The Running Man, because those could be really true blue adaptations. But it's like you stumble upon some, you know, like a story like this, which is such a chewy little genre story, and I don't know, or chewy little ghost story. And it's like, how could you not want to make this? This would be such an easy movie to make.
Wouldn't be super expensive either. You need a little motherfucker and a propeller beanie.
No.
I love too that he wears a beanie. It's just like,
that was my favorite part. He's such a little shit. You're like, fuck this kid.
Of the little stinker. Like,
And it's so funny. Like, I have gone from like complete opposite end of the spectrum, from like not being able to read Pet Sematary, not wanting to read stuff with kids in danger, to now like really loving when a movie goes for it and like fucking kills a kid. You know, like I remember watching The Last Voyage of the Demeter, and I was like,
oh yeah, great movie. Pfleegor, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, and like I have little brothers, and like some of their friends would be little stinkers, and it would be one of those things like I couldn't punch them, but I could throw a kickball at him pretty hard and be like, oops.
Here, I couldn't punch him, I could shoot him with a 45.
Yeah, right. but I like to the detail of, I mean, it's another death row, like a death. So going back to that again, death row and retirement homes are big on King's mind while writing these.
Very Green Mile too, you know.
Yeah, and I like all the deaths are like secondary or tertiary. Like, he gets someone else to do a thing of, you know, an act of mischief that leads to an act of accidental violence or car accidents. And the detail, of as he's leaving the jail and his car is all keyed up, and he's like, wait, I went through 3 gates to get here. You know, there's no way anyone could have gotten into this. And just knowing that lawyer is now going to have hell to deal with for the rest of his life as this kid just harasses and bothers him.
So I've wondered about this third-party death system that King has systematically created for probably 50 years. I need to go back to the first time he's done this, but where deaths happen at the collateral damage of one person's mind, or whether they're using an email system, or they're using, you know, some like everything's eventual, or they're doing the obituaries, or there's this little kid. He's so fascinated with the I guess like the butter, like for lack of a better word, the butterfly effect of it all.
Chain letter death.
Chain letter death.
And legally, it's vicarious liability.
Vicarious liability.
Oh.
Okay. So I'm wondering how much of that has to be psychological with him, where I mentioned Unforgiven earlier. And that seems, a lot of people agree that that's like Clint Eastwood, wrestling with playing this outlaw and doing these nefarious things. All of which you can hear on Make My Day, a Clint Eastwood podcast that we'll be discussing with fellow loser Mac, Wolfman Mac. And I just thought maybe this is kind of like, this is his way of doing the same thing that Clint does in that movie, where he's just like wrestling. He's like, well, I've carved out a lot of deaths. I've killed a lot of people on paper. Does that bother me? Or maybe does it bother him? Because based on these type of stories, which he keeps coming back to, it does feel like there's something about it that maybe he is like kind of looking in the morality of it all too. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's real armchair psychiatry, but
that's what we do,
I know.
That's what we live for.
But he goes back to it all the time. It's just like
does.
it's. I'm sure there's going to be another short story collection or a novellas collection that does something similar.
Yeah. Which, and I meant to say when we were talking about obits, like I wonder if that is kind of the same place that Dinky Earnshaw will get. I wonder if those powers overlap a little bit. And I was just looking up when Rage went out of print, and it fell out of publication in 1998. So I wonder if he was thinking about that. And, when we were talking about A Good Marriage, we also talked about how the family of some of the victims, or I believe the family of BTK, like was not really happy about it. So I think like the consequences of the things he writes do kind of weigh on him. And I think that's something that he comes back to occasionally in ways that I find really interesting, because I do not think he blames himself for anything that other people have done, but also he's putting ideas into the consciousness. And here he's playing with an idea that already exists, but really taking it to the outer extreme. And like, what if this bad little kid did fuck up my life? Like, how could I ever get rid of him?
You might be right, because Everything's Eventual was published November of 1997.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it could be on the mind there.
And he wore a beanie propeller hat while writing.
He did.
He did.
Looked like one of the little rascals.
Slingshot in his back pocket.
The spankier,
But, no,
porkier.
that's a great read, Jen. I think that's wow. I'm sure we'll get a tweet that says something like, actually, no, it's all coincidental.
Exactly.
But
He's like, it's not coincidental, but I do have my beanie still.
I do have my beanie. Yeah.
All right, well, that was a bad little kid, but I would say this is a good little episode, or two good little episodes. We've reached the end of our Bazaar of Bad Dreams coverage. Do we want to give it an overall rating?
Yeah.
Jen, kick us off. How many bright red Pennywise clown? Oh, in one of the stories, too, I think it was in Premium Harmony, they say Pennywise and a pound foolish. I was like,
That's
Pennywise,
right. They do. I was thinking Nickel Stupid. I wonder if he's ever going to make an appearance.
But yeah, how many Pennywise clown is for Bazaar of Bad Dreams?
It's interesting. I think my opinion of this collection has changed over the course of this episode, because like I loved how disparate we all were with our stories, and hearing a lot of us like defend some that others were kind of low on. And it's making me think maybe I need to reread some of these. I still do think this is probably my least favorite of his collections, although that is an extremely high bar for me because I fucking love the short story collections. But this one, I just think the mindset of it is a place that I don't really want to go right now. And I think maybe if I read it again in 10 years, I would like it more. And I did like it more than when I read it in 2008 or 2009, whenever it was published. There is a lot of really interesting stuff here, and there are some really fun, really nasty, really enjoyable stories. They're all fantastic, and they are really readable, but it takes me to too many places that I don't want to go, so I can't give it 5, but I think I am going to give it 4. Coming into the episode, I probably would have given it 3, but now I'm at 4.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with 4, and it's not because, 4 is still really good. I think what keeps me from giving it 5 is that, outside of Summer Thunder and some of my other top favorites, I don't think it's weird because I overall actually like it definitely better than Nightmares and Dreamscapes, better on a whole than Skeleton Crew. But Skeleton Crew has the mist, it has the jaunt, it has the reach.
Grandma,
there aren't
Mrs.
as many
Todd
of those
shortcuts. The highs are high there.
I'm not as big on that story as you guys are, but I like it.
I'll save my rage for another day.
I like it. But I feel like this is more consistent overall, but doesn't have quite as many knockout moments, which is why I go with 4. Still really love it, though. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. You know what this reminded me of? The Everything Will Be All Right in the End by Weezer.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's
album.
like, I wouldn't say they're some of their greatest songs of all time on there? Probably not. Like if I had to make a top 10 Weezer song list, none of them were going to be on there. But I think it's I think it's arguably their most consistent album.
Yeah, awesome album. Yeah,
and it's an awesome album, and that's kind of how I look at this too, where there's some lows. I wasn't really stoked on reading Blockade Billy. I don't know why. I kind of wish something else was swapped in there, and it would have been a little stronger. But overall, it wasn't really like, this sucks. And we've done that before on some of these short story collections, especially in recent memory. So not as low as some of the lows on probably more memorable collections, but mostly because I look back at, like, say, Just After Sunset or Everything's Eventual, and those have like 1408 and N, and those are stories that have informed what scares me, and because of that, they're going to become definitive scares for me, and ones that I will probably carry to the grave. That there just wasn't that in this book, and that's, I guess you could say that it is a mark on it, but it's, it still doesn't affect the quality of this book, but it does feel like when I look back at all the collections now that I'm done, because, granted, we still have to unlock our If It Bleeds coverage, or no, I believe the If It Bleeds coverage is actually there, but if you haven't read it yet, it's there chronologically. And then we also have the You Like It Darker, which we'll unlock, but, we have read and consumed all of them now at this point. And I do think that Bazaar is probably going to get lost in the mix for me a little bit. Like I there are some stories I love here, but even coming back to this today, I just read it this week, and I'm still forgetting some of the little stories here and there. And it's just because they were enjoyable at the time, but it's like what Pfleegor mentioned before, the waltz. It's like you have the waltz with that one person and you move on. And I think I would argue that every other collection has a waltz that I'm going to always remember. So I'm going to go 3.5 at this one. Again, it's solid. I had a fun time reading it, but it's so strange to think that I'm probably not going to be taking a lot with me with this one.
Yeah,
so.
That's a really good point.
Pfleegor, bring us home.
So I will say this one starts really strong. The first, so Mile 81, Premium Harmony, Batman and Robin, The Dune, and Bad Little Kid are all very high up for me. Then it starts to drop off a little bit, and I don't think it really picks up again until like however you want to pronounce that. It is weird comparing them to some of the other short story collections though too, because I do love some of the 80s ones so much more. But there is a lot to take away from this. It's weird because the online conversation of this is not seen as one of the better ones. But I did really enjoy it. And kind of like Jen, I got a greater appreciation even for the stories that maybe I didn't enjoy as much the first couple of times around. I'm going to have to say about 3.75 for me for the entire collection. So right around hand-holding club with you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Let me do some quick Caffrey-lytics here. Wait, fuck. Hold on. I'm really bad at math. Plus 3.5 plus 4 plus 4 divided by 4 equals 3.8. Almost 4 stars. Or 4 bright red Pennywise clown.
If you add 3.8, what do you get? 19.
Oh.
Not really.
Not really. Yeah.
That's not how math works, but.
We want to thank you all for listening. Of course, let us know your personal rankings either in the comments section or on Discord, wherever you like to interact with us. Mike, what do we have coming up for us on the podcast?
Well, September is the last of the Hodges trilogy. We're going to be doing End of Watch. Jen, you're on that one?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, hosting it with Randall and Ashley and Rachel. Working the Hodges crew.
Are you ready to be done with this run?
I'm a little bit ready to be done with it.
Yeah.
Although, hey, I have liked all of those books. Every time I read them, I like them a little bit more. And we always find something good about them. So,
Yeah. I mean, and then from there, we're going to be doing, we have a Bag of Bones that has been rustling around for a while. And an Oops All Tangents we're going to bring back for Halloween, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then some Halloween Hell, I think, is coming soon,
we're
too.
unlocking the first one. So some good stuff. It's spooky, the beginning of spooky season. Although for you all, it's been spooky season for me since August 5th, if you recall, 1998.
Mm-hmm.
The great Michael Myers came back as Chris Duran. Not a great shape, but the movie was pretty solid.
Yep.
I saw Spirit Halloween open near us.
Yeah.
It's settled at the
settled.
bakery.
Time.
All the Halloween decorations are up, so that's where we are.
Yeah, can't wait.
Let us know, losers out there, listeners, if you're celebrating spooky season. I think you are. If you're a fan of this podcast, you probably are. All right, I want to thank my my fellow salespeople at the Bazaar for
peddlers.
hanging out with me. The market's over. We've gotten rid of all of our analyses. We are rolling up our Turkish carpet, folding up the tent, and traveling to our next town. Until the next episode, we will see you over long days
And
pleasant
night.
I got some hot friends. God, I got some hot friends. I got some hot friends. God, I got some hot friends. But you know you want somebody to treat you good.
You've made it to the end of another Bloody Disgusting podcast. Congratulations. If you like our programming, consider searching for other Bloody Disgusting podcasts, such as Creepy, Horror Queers, The Boo Crew, SCP Archives, Nightlight, Margaret's Garden, and more.